Okay. Am I online? Maybe, sort of. Okay. There we go. Alrighty. Sorry about the delay, folks. I had a update that my computer kind of needed to do, and it kicked me out. So, yeah. So, as I said. Oh, give me a break. There we go. Okay, so as I said, unboxing of the Horus Heresy Burning of Prospero. Now, I have seen all the stuff online for this. I've looked at the reports. I've looked at the other unboxings. I've seen the Games Workshop press releases. I've seen all that stuff. But this is the first time I'm actually physically handling the kit, and we'll be looking at the models and the rules and all that good stuff. So, the whole thing tonight is going to be going over this, hopefully. It depends on really how much time I can commit to it. So, I apologize for the delay that unfortunately happens when you're dealing with a box that is still shrink wrapped. Just in case anyone was thinking I was going to try and pull a fast one on you and say, oh, he opened it earlier and he's just talking about it now. Nope, have not opened it. Still brand new, unsealed. So, I'm pretty sure at this point we've all seen the box cover anyway. Well, there we go. So, we've all seen the image. Back of the box. It reads, The Horus Heresy Burning of Prospero. It is an age of war. Brother fights brother in a hate-fueled battle to the death. On glorious Prospero, the Psychers of the Thousand Suns face the ultimate censure for their forbidden studies. The Space Wolves are sent to punish them by any means necessary. Fire rains from the skies as their fleet reduces the world of the Thousand Suns to ash. Priceless artifacts and the accumulated wisdom of entire civilizations are put to the torch. But amongst the sea of senseless violence there remains sanctuary. Tisca, city of glass and gold, is protected by a vast force field of telekinetic power, so it is that the Space Wolves lead an invasion directly to the planet's surface, their ferocity matched against the warp craft of the Thousand Suns. They do not come along. Fighting alongside them are the Sisters of Silence, potent anti-psychers, and the Custodian Guard, the elite blades of the Emperor himself. That is a pretty nice and succinct setup for the story that is the Burning of Prospero. Hey, thank you for the host, Shrunken Terra. Always good to get some more exposure. So, like the previous game in the series, the Betrayal of Kauth, my understanding is this is meant to be a self-contained game with models that are usable in the normal 40k and 30k games. So, let's pop this puppy open and check them out. Oh yeah. Alrighty, so this is the Tactical Marines. I like the fact that the legs are separate. Nice. They got the separate holsters for the pistols. And I do love this older plate armor style. Okay. Oh, I like that claw. That is, well, that might end up in my Chaos Forces. We'll see. I'll think about it. I do like the chainsaws are completely separate. So you can give them, one chainsword or two. Doesn't make any difference. You don't have to cut out any hands for them. A hammer, heavy bolter. Yeah, the fingers on that lightning claw just look so vicious. I love some of the detail in the armor and the machinery of it. Alright, and then we have a second sprue of the same. A third sprue of the same. So basically, 3 power claws, or lightning claws, excuse me. Power claws. Wow, I'm not even saying the right words tonight. And I'm doing an unboxing and examination. Gotta love that. Okay, yep, got the heads. And these are the, oh, balls, I cannot remember the name. The Ferrex pattern? Or Umbra pattern bolters. I can't remember off the top of my head. If anyone wants to chime in and mention which pattern bolters those are, I'd appreciate it. I cannot think of the name. But these are the older style, heavier kind of bolters. Like, in all honesty, like with the fluff in 40K and 30K, like this is what I always imagine when I see a bolter. Because every time I hear a bolter described, the idea of basically an AK-47 that fires a grenade instead of bullets is what comes to mind. Just this ruggedly simple, near impossible to jam, mass-produced, easy to use, you know, machine gun grenade launcher, for lack of a better word. Alright, so you do get the 30 Tactical Marines. Oh, what do we have here? That is an autocannon. Reaper, I believe. But yeah, this is the Totaros pattern Terminator armor. That's what I'm looking for, Terminator armor. Yeah, they look a little bit like mini Contemptor dreadnoughts from the body designs. See what I mean? Yep, and the storm bolters with the auxiliary grenade launchers. Huh. That, I'm just looking at the exposed head for the Terminator armor. And where are you? There we are. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Revy. But yeah, I'm just looking at the head, and I'm like, that really doesn't look very Thousand Sunny or Space Wolfy. That honestly looks more Imperial Fisty to me. But yeah, and then you got the heavy flamer. Power sword looks a little dinky. Is that a plasma gun? Yes, it is. And a Volkerite gun. Wow, they got a lot of extras on this sprue. And of course, the lightning claws. You can't go wrong with lightning claws. Alright, so here we have the what's the word? Custodes sprue. Yeah, I guess they could be old. I guess that could be an Ultramarines head too. It just has more of that classic square jaw kind of look that I attribute more with the Imperial Fists. So anyway, so the Custodes. Whoo boy. I am seeing these shields being appropriated by Imperial Fist players. Yeah, because you got 5 of them. Yeah, there's your command squad. Yeah, they even have the hands just like the, the tactical squads, or the assault squads. So it'd be real easy to just take them, slap them on there. Guess what, guys? My guys have storm shields. Eat it. You know what I mean, not literally eat it, but whatever. And then the Guardian Spear. I gotta admit, the Guardian Spears on this are not really what I was expecting. The bolter is a lot bigger than I was expecting it to be. And I was not expecting the enlarged handle and bodywork along the shaft. Now, I don't know if this is just my, oh, that's not what I was expecting kind of response, or if it's something that will grow on me with time. But as it is right now, I don't really like this style Guardian Spear. Yeah, they're great for Lysander types. Yeah, pretty much, Revy. So, but Hairlock, that may have to end up on a Chaos guy. I don't know yet. Yeah, the torso plates. Oh, what are those little things? Oh, these go in here, I'd bet. And these sword bolters are just massive things. Admittedly, that does kind of make me interested in making a model for the character of I really just need to have like a running list of names. He was the custodian guard in the audio drama Garrow's Sword of Truth. Started with a core. Okay. Catharin, Corarin. Yeah, I mean, they are certainly wider than most swords we get in these kits. See, I don't even know if I really call them great swords because of just how big they are, relatively speaking, to the model. I mean, you know, here's my the sorcerer I've been working on the last couple weeks compared to the sword. I mean, that sword is, you know, I mean, that's a huge sword. There was an anime I saw years ago. I can't remember what it was. I only remember one little scene from it. They were talking about the sword that this one guy was using, and it was this massive 8-foot double-handed monster blade of a sword is all I can say. You couldn't even really use it like a sword. It was used almost like a club, according to the anime. But when they were talking about it, they described it as it was a sword designed to kill an armored knight and an armored horse in one swing. So, like, the sword was literally like 75 or 100 pounds. And you just swung this massive thing, and just the centrifugal force built up the impact energy enough that you could just, you know, bisect a knight and his horse. That's kind of what I'm thinking here. Like, these swords are just so massive. Like, the custodians would have to be, like, really strong to use them with any finesse. And certainly the skill that would be needed to rival, you know, elite legionary members, as is indicated in a lot of the books. So, but then, here's one big difference. The Custodi Guard don't have backpack-mounted power plants like the Legion of Astartes. The power plants are integrated into their armor. So you can see that on their backs, their backpack pieces here. Maybe, there we go. I have to admit, I'm a little surprised with the design of the heads. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, because like in most of the typical artwork I've seen, the Custodes are rendered with the furled eagle across the grill of the helmet, not across the head. Go away, stupid fly. Although I suppose this actually works a little bit better visually. Because it can easily be rendered that like the eyes of the helmet are shadow and design in the wings of the eagle. So it's this, great predator bird crashing down on you in a fight. Wow. And I'm looking at one of the exposed heads here. This guy. That is an old dude head. Like, that is, this is the dude who's seen war for 300 years. He's just this gruff, angry, dedicated soldier. Like, that's who that head is. That's the kind of face I would expect to see a Legion of Stardays go, "Hey boss, what do you want me to do?" And they're asking it of. Ooh. Okay. Each of the, what are those? The right shoulder pads, I believe. Oh, they're indistinguished at this point, so I have to look at the instructions. But of each pair of shoulder pads, one shoulder pad has its own individualistic heraldry, representing the respective custodian. And then they have the shield guard that has comparable heraldry. But then the other one is the double-head Aquila of the Imperium. Someone really was really doing their homework from the Horus Heresy books on these models. Ooh. And we got these bits here that would be put together and form a physical Aquila. I made an Abaddon conversion a couple years ago. And one of the things is I put different helmets from different legions, different Space Marine chapters and all that on his head, on his trophy rack, excuse me. I tried to make a Custodes helmet using a High Elf bit. But seeing this, I'm probably going to have to get a second set of these, cannibalize some of the parts from it, just to get this head on a new Abaddon. Because, let's be honest, if anyone in the 40k universe had actually, destroyed a Custodes and taken his helmet as a trophy, it's flipping Abaddon. What is it? Okay, whatever. So, what do we got next? The Sisters of Silence. Huh. When I saw the original images for these models, especially the heads, I was really kind of expecting, I was really thinking that the heads were sculpted using, I think Abaddon will come out as separate. Well, perhaps he will, Revy, but, that never stopped a converter before. Although, to be fair, I'm talking about the 40k Abaddon, not the 30k Abaddon. But anyway, as I was saying, when I saw the original images for the models, I was really kind of thinking like these heads were sculpted based on the Dark Eldar exposed heads from the Witches and Kabbalite warriors. But now that I'm actually looking at them, I'm reasonably certain these are new sculpt. Like, these are not adapted or transferred over, but these are actual new sculpts. The heads are a lot leaner and a lot more human, is the only way I can really put it, than the Eldar heads. Basically, their brows are not as high up. And you got a fur pelt cloak on some of them. I like the filigree on the cloaks. Flamer, bolter, flamer. Now, this is kind of a weird point for me to comment on. On the one hand, like, these should be great swords. And all honesty, they look really great. Okay, bad pun. just roll with it. But I mean, like, for a normal human-sized character, this would be a very big, very heavy sword. And they're about the right size for, the sisters, assuming the sisters are around 6 feet tall. Because in several of the books, they're described as being taller than normal humans. But at the same time, this is a very thin plastic cast. So if you guys are going to be using the Sisters of Silence and you're transporting them around, I'm really going to say you're going to want to get some custom foam to put these girls in. Otherwise, you're going to be showing up at games with warpy swords. Yeah, I can actually feel that starting to deform. So, but anyway. One of the things I've seen in the past for people who did conversions for Sisters of Silence was they tended to use the layered armor from Dark Eldar models, which, for what we had, is perfectly acceptable. There's nothing really wrong with that. But one of the things about Dark Eldar armor is it's always intended to look jagged and pointy. The armor plating on these come to points, but they're not like razor points or jagged points. This is designed to look like plate armor that would move with the body. So there is a bit of a softer kind of look to it, I guess. So, alrighty. The last two, Sisters of Silence. Yep, see, I even got one sword that's already deformed. I'm going to need to put that in some hot water later, see if I can recover that. If not, I'm calling up Games Workshop going, hey guys, I got a busted sprue. That's going to be tricky because that's so bloody thin. So, but anyway, yeah, like I said, if you guys are going to use Sisters of Silence in normal games or you're transporting them around, get some sort of custom foam to protect them. Alrighty, and then here is the Space Wolf Lord. I'm sorry, the Lord of this unit of the Vilca Fenrica. This dude is well, I will probably buy this dude at some point in the future, so that I can put him in my Chaos Forces. Because I'm sorry, this dude looks like a berserker. I'm like, this is just, yeah. I'm coming at you, I'm gonna murder you. They even sculpted the head with a screaming face. So just roar all the way across the battle, right to get to grips with you. And I like the wolf heraldry on the leg. It's a much more solid, reliable looking kind of heraldry than a lot of the other wolf models. Although it's interesting noting he has markings from 3 of the great companies. You've got the first company in 40k, what is Logan Grimnar. The Claw, which I want to say is 4th company. I want to say that's from Sven Bloodclaw. And then you've got the wolf head pointing out at the viewer, which is typically associated to be Ragnar's great company. So I honestly don't know if that means anything for the game, but I will have to look into that. But yeah, it's like just the claw alone really kind of makes me want to make this dude a Chaos Lord. And then Ozek Ironman. So this was the image that was leaked a year ago, roughly. The one that Spiky Bit said, new 40k sorcerer. So, yeah, this is definitely looking like it's made with a similar approach to Betrayal at Calth's Apostle. And I really like the cloak. It's got some very heavy, very hard ridges in it, giving this very, very fluid kind of motion to what otherwise is a plastic model. And I'm definitely going to have a lot of fun painting that. The Khopesh sword, the Scarab iconography, and the Corvidae, if I remember the word correctly. And then all the scrolls. Huh. Something I just noticed, if you look at the legs, one half of the left leg has the pattern of the Mark II armor, I think it is. You know, the layered armor. While the other side doesn't. Nor does the other leg. Giving it a look of, you know, it had to be fixed in field. I like that touch. That's really nice. And then, of course, we also have the Space Wolf body under it. So, definitely going to be having some fun with this model. But yeah, after looking at the models, I'm certainly leaning toward more assembling and painting them for the game. As opposed to just using them for my Chaos Forces. Although, that never stops me from getting a second one and doing just that. So, let's check out the books. Alrighty, so first one we got, The Burning of Prospero Rules. Oh, that's certainly not an image you want to see coming toward you. Sisters of Silence, the Custodes, and the Space Wolves. Yeah, that's just a full sign you're about to have a very bad day. Introduction. The Horus Heresy is set to ravage the galaxy. Brother is set against brother in the most harrowing war humanity has ever seen. Yeah, well, you made the ultimate warriors to guide you through the cosmos, and then you pissed them off by intending to betray and ignore them. Nice job, Ace. The Primarch Leman Russ is sent to punish them by any... Oops, sorry, I skipped a line. On Prospero, the Psychers of the Thousand Suns face the ultimate censure for the Forbidden Rules. Yep, so, yeah, up through here is the same thing that was on the back of the box that I originally read. Yep, Tartaros, that was the name of the armor. Yep, the miniatures. Seasoned warriors tempered in the galactic wars of the Great Crusade, the veteran warriors of the Legion Astartes are equally well versed in both ranged and close-quartered combat. The Tartaros Terminator. Elite warriors even amongst their battle brothers, these heavily armed Legion champions bestride the battlefield clad in nigh impregnable Tartaros pattern Terminator armor. Ozek Ironman. As Chief Librarian of the Thousand Suns, Ozek Ironman is the most psychically gifted of his Legion, second only to Magnus the Red and Sorcerer's Might. To face him in battle is to feel the full fury of the warp. At least until they bring Magnus out. Sister of Silence. Psychic Nulls whose mere presence is anathema to Psychers. These deadly warrior maidens are the ultimate witch hunters. Their order posed a formidable threat to the sorcerers of the Thousand Suns. The Custodian Guard. As bodyguards to the Emperor of Mankind, the mighty guardians of the Custodian Guard are warriors without peer. Their presence on Prospero served as a physical reminder to the Emperor's power and authority. interesting way to describe that, but okay. And then Gigor Fellhand, a powerful champion of the Space Wolf's Legion. Gigor Fellhand is notorious for his hatred of sorcery, making him a perfect weapon for dealing with the threat of the Thousand Sons' mightiest warlocks. And then the squad assembly, if you want to assemble the units as intended for the game. Turn sequence and setting up. General principles. A D6, D8, D10, and D12. Yep. Okay. So yeah, rumors have been spreading that Burning of Prospero was moving away from the D6 exclusive system. Rerolls. If it's lands, removed from the board and placed to one side. Yep. And then zones. Yep. Obstructions. Obstructions represent features such as a pile of rubble or a statue that block movement and shooting. Each scenario includes a map which illustrates which obstructions are used and where they are placed. Models cannot move onto, through, or shoot across a zone that contains an obstruction. What is it? Okay. Adjacent zones, occupied zones, range, pretty straightforward. Enumeration phase. In the enumeration phase, the player can attempt to cast up to 3 of their psychic powers by using warp energy cards. The loyalist player can attempt to prevent each psychic power from taking effect by using willpower cards. Okay. So I'm guessing these are the psychic power cards. I see nothing that are willpower cards. So I'm guessing these... actually, wait. Now I'm looking at it. Yeah, I'm seeing 2 different sets in the package. So I'll come back to that. Okay, movement phase, attack phase, consolidation phase. Okay, so yep. Yep, and then the Brotherhood, or the Thousand Sons cults. Problem, Revy? If that hadn't been my group, I would have blown them to pieces already. But hey. Sounds like there's some friendly fire going on in your game. Burning of Prospero. Yes. So Revy has officially joined the Vilca Fenrica. Yeah, and that's, ooh, look out, Ozek. I'm going to talk about line of sight. Hey, you're the one screaming Burning of Prospero. Sounding all excited about the prospect of the burning of the home of the Psychers. And then there are the examples of the obstructions. Yes, it is. Okay. Yep, and then these are the actual scenarios in the campaign itself. What is this? Volcano Cannon Bombardment. Infused with pyrokinetic energies, Canis Vertex. A decommissioned warlord titan that once stood sentinel over their temple has been granted deadly sentience to combat Tiska's invaders. At the start of each round, the traitor player can pick one zone to be the target of Canis Vertex's bombardment. Place the locking on template on that zone. Each player then rolls a d6. If the traitor player rolls highest, the shot is on target and the template remains where it is. If the loyalist player rolls highest, they can move the template to any adjacent zone. The template cannot be moved off the board. If the rolls are tied, Canis Vertex bombards another region of Tiska that round. Remove the locking on template. At the start of the consolidation phase, flip the locking on template to reveal the volcano cannon template. Any models that are in the zone in the same zone as the template are instantly slain. Ooh, that's kind of nice to know. In addition, any combat squads that are in an adjacent zone are also at risk. Make an attack roll consisting of 1d8 against each affected combat squad. Roll separately for each affected combat squad. After any attacks have been resolved, the volcano cannon template is removed from the board. Ooh. And a game in this scale, that just sounds really, really, really mean. But then again, given everything the Thousand Sons have been through in the last 4 editions. Ooh. So, in the Thousand Sons and Burning of Prospero, or Prospero Burns books, there was a character from the Space Wolves named Othir Weirdmake. He was basically the Space Wolves, one of the chief rune priests, I guess. And he initially appeared to befriend Ironman as an effort to bridge the gap between the Space Wolves and the Thousand Sons. But ultimately it turned out he's a traitor and was literally just coercing Ironman into revealing his secrets so they could then use them at Nikeah to condemn the Space Wolves. Well, they have a special rule in this scenario where Ironman is engaged in a psychic duel with him. So the traitor player cannot use Azak Ironman in any way until he is freed from his psychic duel, nor can any other traitor model move into the zone he is occupying. At the beginning of the game, place the red D12 next to the board with the 1 facing up. In the consolidation phase, the traitor player rolls a D10 and the loyalist player rolls a D6. Each time the traitor player's score is equal to or higher than the loyalist player's, increase the score shown on the red D12 by 1. As soon as the D12 shows 9, Azek Ironman has won his psychic duel and can be used as normal starting from the next round. If any combat squad makes a combat attack against Ironman before he has won the psychic duel, he is instantly slain. Ow. That hurts. Yeah, no, you're pretty much right on there, Revy. Othir, like I initially liked him in the beginning when I first read the book, because he seemed like he was genuinely trying to learn the Thousand Sons perspective and try to like bring the 2 legions closer together and draw them out of hatred. And then he showed up on Neek and was like, yeah, they're all a bunch of heretics and wizards. They all need to die. And here's every reason why, which also happens to be everything that Iron Man and I talked about. Traitor. Dueling Primarchs. In the distance, the Primarch of the Space Wolves, Leman Russ, faces Magnus the Red in Mortal Kombat. Okay, just go ahead and get the Mortal Kombat song out of your head now, because I know someone's doing it. At the start of each enumeration phase, each player rolls a d12. If the traitor player rolls highest, a wave of sorceress energy surges forth. Reveal the top psychic power card from the deck. The power is automatically cast as if the casting coven was in any zone on the board, including one that is occupied. Wow. Once resolved, this power is discarded and the enumeration phase is played to normal. If the score is tied or the loyalist player rolls highest, Russ gives voice to a primal howl that wrecks the Thousand Sons with agony. The traitor player must discard a psychic power card of the loyalist player's choice from their hand, though they can draw a replacement at the end of the enumeration phase. Any psychic powers that are discarded are lost for the remainder of the battle. Wow. Okay. That's 3 rules that add an amazing amount of character to these scenarios. You've got Canis Vertex being able to fire on this board. Now keep in mind, there's only about 60 figures in this kit. So we're talking a relatively small cross-section of the bigger engagement, because the entire Vilca Fenrica landed on Prospero and destroyed them. So you're talking something like 30,000 Space Wolves. And then there was the entire Prospero Spire Guard, all of the Sisters of Silence, all of the Custodian Guard, the entire Legion, or the majority of the Legion of the Thousand Suns. Like, this battle was, 600, 700,000 soldiers strong total, and this box set only has 60. But these rules kind of give this hint, this image that this is a small part of a big battle. What you're doing here is big in this room, but there's crap going on outside this room. Cult of Choice. If you've played the campaign a few times and fancy a different challenge, you can try replaying the scenario using different Thousand Sun cults as the defender. After all, it is entirely possible that warriors from a different cult would have been sent to fight elsewhere in Tisca, where their particular brand of sorcery can be especially useful in the conflict being fought there. To do so, simply swap the psychic powers available to the cult described in the scenario rules with that of another cult of your choice, and replay the scenario accordingly. Huh. I did not realize that before, that the cults, or in this game, the cults are actually represented differently. Let me open up the psychic power cards and check those out. I liked him in the beginning too. Yeah, I particularly liked the counterpoint that he presented in what was it? The book Prospero Burns, when he was talking to, what was that guy's name? The human who wound up living with the Fenrica, and he was actually a mole planted by Zinch. What was his name? Ahmad ibn Rusta, or something like that? But it was like in Thousand Suns, Uther was very, help me learn your perspective and I'll help you learn my perspective. While in Prospero Burns, he was just like, okay, what's your question? Come on, next question. Come on, next question. Hey, come on, next question already. Just the image of this 8-foot rune priest, going, come on, I'm ready, let's go, come on. I'm just like, oh, Lord, what have you gotten into? Okay, so these are the psychic... I see. So, yeah, the psychic power cards are divided by cult. Looks like there's only a couple per cult. Yeah, 3 it looks like. Raptora. Yep. So, alright, let's go through these. Alrighty, so Corvidae, Prescience. This is the cult that Magnus came from. The Thousand Suns peer into the future, their sorceries divining the strands of fate, the better to twist them to their cause. Prescience targets the Casting Coven zone. You do not need to roll for initiative. The traitor player can choose who will take the initiative during that round. I go first. Okay. The Precognitive Prescient. Working Prescient magic... Oh, wow, that just struck me. So if you have one cult per mission, like that one mission with where the Magnus and Lehman Russ are fighting, like, yeah, every time the Space Wolf player gets off the Howl, yep, there goes the second power card. You don't use it anymore. for that game. Ouch, that actually hurts a lot now that I think about that. What is it? Yeah, okay, whatever. So, Corvidae, precognitive prescient. Working prescient magic so that they can see where their enemies will be in a few moments' time. The Coven strikes with pinpoint accuracy. So basically they attack at a point where the enemy will be instead of where they are. Precognitive precision targets the casting Coven zone. All models in that target zone can immediately make a single combat or shooting attack. Yeah, so my Terminators attack. Oh, and I guess they would get to attack in their normal attack as well. And then Warp Time. This is the third power for the Corvidae. The Corvidae twist the nature of time, making their actions seem quicksilver fast, as all around them react as if submerged in ice water. Warp Time targets the casting Coven zone and each zone adjacent to the casting Coven zone. All trader models in the target zone can immediately move up to one zone each unless they are adjacent to any zones occupied by Loyalist models. Nice. Alright, so those are the Corvidae powers. Pavoni. Hyper Regeneration. If memory serves, the Pavoni were the body manipulation masters. So that kind of works for that. Hyper Regeneration. Grievous wounds and mortal injuries quickly heal over to leave unblemished flesh behind. Fallen Pavoni rising to join the fight once more. Woo! Hyper Regeneration targets the casting Coven zone. Thank you for the follow. I have no idea how to say that name. Malady Biden, I think. Thank you for the follow, Mally. I'm just gonna go with that. So anyway, Hyper Regeneration targets the casting Coven zone. Select a traitor model that has been slain earlier during the battle and set him up in the target zone. You cannot set up a model if doing so would exceed the zone's capacity, and you cannot resurrect Ozek Ironman using this power. Darn. Yeah, well, I mean, it's also Ozek Ironman. Surge of Rapidity. The Coven infuse their bodies with unnatural energy, allowing them to surge through the confusion of open battle at extreme speed. Surge of Rapidity targets the casting Coven zone. Okay. All models in the target zone can immediately move up to 2 zones each, or up to 1 zone each if they are adjacent to a zone occupied by any Loyalist models. Nice. At least I think so. I have to actually go through and read the rules specifically. Probably play a game or two. Bioelectrical Storm. Force Lightning! It targets a zone anywhere within the line of sight of the casting Coven. Okay. If the zone is occupied by Loyalist models, make an attack roll consisting of 1d8. If any of the zones adjacent to the target zones are also occupied by Loyalist models, make an attack roll consisting of 1d8 against each of them. Okay. Athenian. Cruel Illusion. The Athenians sow false visions, making their enemies think their allies are deadly foes, so the invaders too will share the pain of betrayal. Nice. Very nice. Cruel Illusion targets a single zone within line of sight of the casting Coven. If the target zone contains any Loyalist models, you can immediately make an attack with one model of your choice in the target zone. This attack can be a combat or a shooting attack and can be directed against any other combat squad, or if you wish, its own combat squad. A model cannot attack itself, however, and the Sisters Superior and Sisters of Silence cannot be chosen to make attack as a result of this power. Makes sense because they're null psychic powers. A model making an attack as a result of this power can use all weapon rules and abilities available to it, but it cannot press the attack. Shrouding. The Coven blurs the mindscape of the battle, so that a psychic blind spot appears, a veil of confusion where no man's gaze can settle for long. Shrouding targets a zone anywhere within line of sight of the casting coven. Place the shrouding template in the target zone. A zone with the shrouding template blocks all line of sight as if it were an obstruction, but it does not block movement. A combat squad in a zone with the shrouding template cannot be shot and can only be attacked in close combat. Ooh. Remove the shrouding template at the start of the consolidation phase. Phantom Decoy. Phantom Decoy targets the casting coven zone and one other zone occupied by traitor models. Remove all models in both target zones from the board and then immediately set up these models again in the same zone, but in any model combination you choose. When setting up models in this manner, at least one model must be placed in each zone, and you cannot exceed each zone's maximum capacity. Raptora, Kind Shield. Kind Shield targets either the casting coven zone or a zone adjacent to the casting coven. Place the Kind Shield target in the target zone. You can choose to re-roll any number of dice when making an armor rolls for a traitor combat squad in the same zone as a Kind Shield template. Remove the Kind Shield template at the start of the consolidation phase. Psychic Maelstrom targets a single zone within 5 zones and line of sight of the casting coven. You can force all loyalist models in the target zone to move into an adjacent, unoccupied zone of your choice. Ooh. Telekinetic Bombardment targets a zone anywhere within line of sight. If the zone is occupied by loyalist models, roll a d6 on a roll of 1. Make an attack while consisting of 1d8. On a roll of 2 to 5, make an attack consisting of 2 d8s. On a roll of 6, make an attack roll of 3 d8s. And then Pire. Flame Wall. Flame Wall targets an unoccupied zone anywhere within 5 zones of the casting coven. Place the Flame Wall template in the target zone. Models cannot move into that zone that contains the Flame Wall template. Remove it at the start of the consolidation phase. Inferno. Inferno targets a zone anywhere within line of sight of the casting coven. What's up? Okay. And line of sight of the casting coven. If the zone is occupied by loyalist models, make an attack roll consisting of 1d6 for each model in the target unit. Welcome back, Revy. And then finally, Wings of Fire targets the casting coven zone. One model in the target zone can immediately be moved into any unoccupied zone. Nice. And these are the warp cards. Might have to go through and read how to use these. Sorry, warp energy cards. Did I miss any OP, please nerf stuff? Hard for me to say right now, because number one, the game is, very obviously designed. Here are the rules for this game. Just this game, nothing else. But I also haven't actually gone in and read all the rules, so I don't know how all of it works just yet. As far as the cards go, it kind of strikes me a bit as a streamlined version of Pokemon. I have this effect and I cast this power. I try to negate with this power. And there you go. You either negate or you don't negate. There is no question in there. Alrighty. The Horus Heresy, Burning of Prospero, Legions at War. I want to say these are the model books. This is the model book. Well, this talks about the rise of the War Master, the dawn of destruction. Yeah, so these are basically scaled down versions of the Forge World books, with the background information in it. And then with some, hey, get these other things for more Horus Heresy goodness. And they're the books I was talking about. 1,000 Suns and Prospero Burns. For anyone who is reading this or listening to this channel, if you are interested in the 1,000 Suns, these are two books I simply cannot recommend highly enough. The 1,000 Suns is a really great overall view of how the 1,000 Suns, and more specifically Magnus, well, short version, it establishes that Magnus screwed up, is the best way to put it. And he just refused to admit it for the longest time. So when everything finally fell apart and he's like, how could this be happening? You're kind of reading the book going, dude, did you really not see this coming? But it makes a lot more sense why the battle was as desperate as it was. And then Prospero Burns gives a really nice counterpoint to that, explaining, you know, how the 1,000 Suns could be viewed as monsters and demons beyond Magnus's influence. You know, it's just really kind of nice to be given this kind of counterpoint between the two views. And I mean, I'm not a huge Space Wolf fan. I generally dislike the 40k Space Wolves. But when I read Prospero Burns, I was kind of like, ooh, I might have to start a 30k Space Wolf army. Just because the 30k version of them were so very much more... Well, honestly, they were Space Vikings. Like, they were what they were supposed to be. I've never had a Forge World book in my hands. Well, you would know if you did, Revy. They usually weigh in around 10 or 12 pounds. But all the Horus Heresy books, they usually have about 70 to 80 pages of rules and game info. Yeah. Well, okay, I'm talking two different points here. Going back to my point about the Space Wolves. In 40k Space Wolves, the wolf has overpowered the Viking. So it's no longer Space Vikings with wolves, it's, you know, werewolves that are kind of inspired by Vikings that use wolves. It's like, it's you know, the Wolf Lord with his wolf claw rode his Thunder Wolf in a wolf charge while he made his wolf call. Like, it's kind of like the same thing that pissed me off with the Klingons in Star Trek. Like, they became this caricature of the original idea. You know, it was like, you know, with the Klingons, it started out as, you know, we are honor-bound warriors. You know, we have this external warrior's honor that we adhere to. I'm like, okay, that's a good stand. But by the end of TNG, it was like everyone viewed everything as a battle. And then by then partway into DS9, is like everything, all the time, no matter what, is all about honor, glory, and victory. Like, even their lawyers, like, even the scene where they're literally trying to have Worf, you know, discharged from the Federation because he supposedly accidentally destroyed a civilian ship. Like, even the Klingon lawyer is like, it's all about the glory of the hunt and the chase and the victory at the end of the game. I'm like, dude, you're a lawyer. Like, be a lawyer. Stop being a space Viking. But then, like, the 40k Space Wolves are the same problem with wolves. They stopped being Vikings and started being, you know, werewolf Vikings. But in 30k, they're much more, well, kind of like what Revy said, more Viking. Like, I can kind of get behind a lot of the way they operate. It's like, okay, I understand where they're coming from. I don't necessarily agree with them, but I can follow it a lot better. And also, they were just a lot more interesting characters, I say, in 30k rather than 40k. They are not the caricatures that they are in 40k. Then, yeah, here are the model book. Here's the model sheets. Aha, so you get a Thunder Hammer. Plasma gun, melta gun, heavy bolter. Yep, yep. Yep, 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 yep. Wow, I'm channeling Land Before Time. Still an awesome movie, though. Ah, so that's what those are. I was trying to figure out what some of those smaller bits were on the sprue. Ammo pouches. Or ammo clips. Yep, then the Custodes. Yep, so like I was saying, the left shoulder guard is sculpted with the personal heraldry, while the right shoulder guard is sculpted with the Aquila. Yeah, see, this bit, I can already see it being taken up by Imperial Fists. It would be so incredibly easy to take, like, the fist icon from, say, the drop pod, shave off the back in the circle, and put it right there. You know, there's my standard bearer. Actually, I'm kind of tempted to do that myself. I have some pretty straightforward installation, or construction. And then the sisters. Alright guys, I will be right back. Let me switch us over to the desk image, so that way you can at least see the Legion of Brass and 30K Karn that I've been working on. And I will be back in a few minutes. Alrighty, and I am back. There's nothing more dangerous in the galaxy than an Imperial Fist standing his ground. I'm not exactly a huge fan of the fists, so... Anyway, so where was I? So the Sisters of Silence. And then the Terminators. Yep, Plasma Blaster. I wasn't mistaken. And a Volkite Charger. Chain Fist, Power Sword, Power Fist. Yep. Yep. Reaper Autocannon. Yes! I am so putting one of those on a Chaos guy. Yeah, just that head just does not look Prospero-y or Space Wolf-y. Let me see if I can do this without the glare. You see what I mean? Like, it just looks more like a space, Ultramarine or Imperial Fist. Okay. I will still be here when you finish changing to your bed. Wow, that sounded a bit... Yeah, whatever. Just moving on. Alright, and then the profile sheets. So, for the Space Wolves, Legion Veterans, Armor D6, Stamina 2, Chainsword, Combat D6, Bolt Gun, Shooting D6, Plasma Gun D8, Melt Gun D10, Heavy Bolter D10. The Melt Gun is short range. The weapon can only be used against target units within 3 zones. If a combat squad includes a model with a Legion Vixilia, when it makes a combat attack, you can re-roll a single die when resolving your attack roll. If an attacking unit includes any models with bolt guns when it makes a shooting attack, you can re-roll all D6 rolls of 1 that are part of the attack roll. Huh. I admit, I'm surprised to find that for Space Wolves. That sounds a lot more Ultramarine or Imperial Fisty than Space Wolf. Veteran Sergeant. Chainsword, Power Sword, Lightning Clone, Chainsword. Interesting. So if you arm the Veteran Sergeant with 2 Chainswords, one is D6, one is D8. And then Gigor. Moving phase, you can move Fell Hand up to 3 zones instead of 2. If doing so, will move him into a zone adjacent to an enemy model. After making a combat attack with this model's combat squad, you can immediately make another attack with this model. You can choose to press the attack before making your second attack. Ha! Artificer, Wolfclaw, and Combat Knife, D12. I'm not 100% sure yet because I haven't read the rules yet. What I think, and if anyone knows better and wants to chime in, by all means, instead of having attack strengths, you have attack dice. So a normal chainsword, you roll a d6, and the result indicates the level of the amount of damage, or if you succeed. Well, if you give him a second chainsword, instead of using a d6, you use a d8 for that chainsword. So I'm guessing it'd be like, I've got a 1,000 Sun with a bolt gun that engages a Space Wolf Veteran Sergeant that has a chainsword. Let me see if I can actually validate this at all. So yeah, if we both have chainswords, we both roll d6s. And I'm guessing, putting big quotes around guessing, because again, I have not read the rules yet. If let's say you roll a 4, I roll a 5, I win that combat. But in the case of a Veteran Sergeant, if they have a second chainsword, one of their chainsword rolls a d8, the other one rolls a d6. I think. Yeah, and then the Custodian and Sisterhood are pretty much specific to the game, so I would not even try and equate what their abilities are until I read the rules. Ozek Ironman. If Ozek is part of a coven that is attempting to cast a psychic power, you may draw 1 additional warp energy card when attempting to cast it. Whilst Ironman is on the board, you can roll a d8 instead of a d6 when rolling to see which player claims the initiative. Oh! He has a Hequita Staff, which is a d12 in combat. Bolt Pistol, d6. Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm guessing on all of this. So, if someone knows better and wants to call me out, by all means, please do. Just be aware, this is the perspective of someone who first time reading this is literally right here on the channel. I have not read the rules prior to this yet. So, and then the Tartaros, Terminators, and Terminator Sergeant. Twin Lightning Claws, Combat D8, Power Sword D8, Combi Bolter, Volkite Charger, or Plasma Blaster are D10, but short range, Reaper Autocan is D10. Heavy Flamer is special. Dual wield. After making a combat attack with this model's combat squad, you can immediately make another attack with this model and any other models equipped with 2 lightning claws that are part of the same combat squad. You can choose to press the attack before making your second attack. Grenade harness. Once per game, a model with a grenade harness may fire it at a target unit within 3 zones before its combat squad makes their shooting attacks. The number of d6s in the attack roll is equal to the number of models in the attack unit. After resolving the grenade harness attack, resolve the attacking unit's shooting attacks as normal. Using a grenade harness does not prevent the firing model from shooting any of its other weapons. Ooh. Alright. That just sounds mean, baby. I like it. Alright, so power cards. Alright, so bases, yeah, they're the standard GW plastic bases. I'm not going to go into any detail on these because I'm using Dragonforge bases. Actually, let me talk about those real quick. So yeah, the special that I was talking about a couple weeks ago, or last week, now that I think about it, that Jeff is running. I forget the exact numbers. I think it's like 60 bases, and for $68. Let me pull up the information to make sure I'm giving the right information. I'm sorry if I said it wrong, Jeff. Yep, so the deal is 40 32mm bases. So these are the sizes for most of the infantry guys. And then 10 40mm bases, which is this size. So these are the ones you would use for Terminators and whatnot. But 40 of these size, 10 of these size, any range he has, for $68 plus shipping. So you basically save $16, or $12, excuse me, because normally it'd be about $80. But you know, these are the bases I'm going to use for my models. These are from Ancient Ruins 1 and Ancient Ruins 2, respectively. They are very similar, and I do like that they are similar, but they do look a little bit different. So I'm going to try and go for a, you know, more destroyed, not yet completely destroyed sort of look for it. You know, 3 guesses which one I'm using on which. And of course the dice. You know, D10, D12, D6, and D4. Or D8, excuse me. So, yeah, standard dice. No real surprise. D6, D8, D10, D12. And finally, oops, oh, not quite finally. Transfer sheet. And 3 bags. I'm guessing these are for the cards. It's kind of a nice thought, actually. So let me separate those cards now while I'm thinking about it. Even Fenrica Gray and Thousand Suns are red. Oh, yeah. No, that's a good point. I didn't think of that. But yeah. Yeah, Revy just made a really good point. There are 2 colors of dice. You know, Space Wolves, Thousand Suns. and the cult powers. So, there we go. Oh, and they do have different designs. I did not see that before. Okay, so, there are the 3 card decks, the dice. Alrighty. Alrighty, and now the boards. Alright. So these just punch right out. A lot like the board segments from Space Hulk or Betrayal at Calth or Lost Patrol. They're on this thick cardboard MDF board. So they're pretty good and rugged. But still, I wouldn't use them to beat anyone. Ooh. Kind of like this design work here. The breaking of the Aquila, the eyes with the prospered roots. Oh, excuse me. Head rush. That hurt. So yeah, board is 2-sided. They even have a warp portal on this one. Yeah, when I sneeze, it's kind of what's needed. 7 blessings, alright. Yep, the portal chamber I saw in the rules earlier. Yep, stand, yep. Yep, okay, alright. This one's just kind of aching to getting taken out of its frame. And I'd rather not have it be torn up because of warping. Yeah, alrighty. So, cha-ching. Alright, and then here are the obstructions and templates that they were mentioning in the rules. That looks like it'd be just about the right size for the Imperium Sanctus model. Ow. And just a minute, let me grab said model. Ow. If I can actually get to said model. Alrighty. Hold tight, guys. Got to move the camera for just a minute. There I go. As I break something else, it's just kind of my day going. So, but yeah, the Sanctum Imperialis model. Nice job, GW. Very, very nice. Yeah, you could literally just put the Sanctum Imperialis model on there. And then you have the statue, full obstruction, yada, yada, yada. There you go. So, okay. I gotta give props to GW. That's a nice move. Does kind of make me wish they made the rest of the pieces as models as well. Ooh! I did not notice that. Yeah, because on one side you've got the statue of Magnus the Red. On the other side you've got the Sanctum Imperialis. What is my notification for? Okay, I really gotta switch that section, or that command for my Fitbit. Yeah, that light suddenly just blinking on off, that's because I hit my calorie burn goal for the day. But as I was saying, yeah, on the one side you've got the Sanctum Imperialis, or that might be the Emperor himself. On the other you have Magnus the Red. And then all the various templates and occult material. Alright, so let me pack the rest of this up. Actually, where did I put the box top? There, I put the box top. So, I will put the models in the box top, because those need to get washed and cleaned, so I can start assembling them probably tomorrow. Let me take a look real quick. Can I do a stream tomorrow? Sunday, Monday. No, I'm off Monday. However, Tuesday, I will be doing a stream from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I will probably be assembling these guys Tuesday night. So heads up if anyone wants to join me for that. You like that, huh, Revy? So, the model book. Alright, so, the rules. Alrighty, so, those are the contents. Setting up, pick a scenario. There are 6 different scenarios to choose from. Gather dice, place board tiles, pick sides. I'm Thousand Suns. Ready psychic power cards. Huh. You know, I just had a thought of something I might try later on with this. Doing a online match with it, because I was saying, like, if I do use like Roll20 or something, I think I can actually set it up with the boards and have someone play against me. So I'll have to think on that. Prepare and shuffle decks, muster your forces, prepare for war. Well, I kind of don't like the fact that you'll get your grubby hands on the Sisters of Silence before me, but you introduced me to Lotara Sarin, so it's okay. Revy, you are just stuck on that girl, and you haven't actually met her. Alright, so certain weapons, psychic powers, and special rules require a target to be within range in order to work. Actually, tell you what, Revy, you interested in doing that online game? Assuming I can do it, of course. You can play the Space Wolves, so you get the Sisters of Silence. I mean, digitally, of course. Enumeration phase. In the enumeration phase, the traitor player can attempt to cast up to 3 of their psychic powers. I would be honored. You would be honored to try and slay the 1,000 sons of Prospero, huh? In that case, I shall be honored to try to spay and neuter the rabid dogs of Fenris. And punch the Custodes in the face. So, enumeration. In the enumeration phase, the traitor player can attempt to cast up to 3 of their psychic powers by using the warp energy cards. The loyalist player can attempt to prevent each psychic power from taking effect by using warp or by using willpower cards. I mean, just to be clear, you do know I'm talking digital, right? You know, I'm not going to mail you the models or anything. Movement phase. Each player rolls a dice to determine who will claim the initiative in that round. The player that won the initiative can move all of their models, and then the opposing player can move all of their models. Okay? Okay, just checking. At the end of the phase, the models in each zone form a combat squad and will fight as one for the rest of the round. Okay? Yes, I did say roll 20. Where was I? Attack phase. Starting with the player that has the initiative, players take turns to choose a combat squad to attack with. Each squad is allowed to attack once. If a player runs out of combat squads to attack with, the opposing player continues to attack with their remaining squads. Once all combat squads on the board have made their attacks, the phase ends. Consolidation phase. At the end of each round, all willpower and warp energy cards must be shuffled back into their respective decks. Any wound counters are discarded. A new round then begins. Okay. Oh, what now? Yeah, whatever. Sorry, I was just reading a notice on Dragon Forge's Facebook page. Someone said, I need to find a way to drop hints to my loved ones that I need more resin bases for Christmas. And then he responds with the idea of, I think I'm going to start leaving unbased minis lying around the house in random places. I'm like, yeah, because that's going to work well. Alright, so enumeration phase. Most gifted to humanity's psychers. Though their endless thirst for forbidden knowledge would ultimately lead to their damnation and subsequent destruction, yada yada yada. In each game of the Horus Heresy Burning of Prospero, the traitor player will have 5 psychic power cards with which they will command the strange energies of the warp. Interesting. Before starting a scenario, the player must first establish which psychic powers their force has available to them. Each scenario lists any specific powers the traitor force begins the game with, determined by the arcane specialization of the Thousand Sun cult defending the area of Tisca. Any others must be drawn at random from the remaining psychic power cards. Okay, so if I'm using the Corvidae in one mission, I take all 3 of the Corvidae powers and then draw 2 more from the remaining stack. Got it. The traitor player receives a deck of 18 warp energy cards in addition to their psychic power cards. These cards are used to fuel the psychic powers that the traitor player wants to cast, as described opposite. At the start of the game, the traitor player takes all 18 of their warp energy cards, gives them a good shuffle, and places them as a face-down deck besides the gaming board. Okay. Willpower cards. The Loyalist player has a deck of 18 willpower cards. They are used to try and resist the psychic powers that the traitor player attempts to cast, as described below. At the start of the game, the Loyalist player takes all 18 of their willpower cards, gives them a good shuffle, and places them face down deck besides the gaming board. Okay. Okay. Respective Corvidae, or respective cult powers. Movement phase. Claiming the initiative. At the start of the movement phase, the players must determine who claims the initiative in that round by rolling a d6. The player that rolls highest has the choice of claiming the initiative or deferring to their opposition. The Loyalist player wins any ties they are invading Prospero, and strategically the traitors are on the back foot. Does it literally say give them a good shuffle? Yes, it does. Repeatedly, I might add. The player that claims the initiative moves their models first and will also choose the first combat squad to make attacks with in the attack phase. They do not have to move all their models. If they wish, some models can remain stationary. Once the player has finished moving their models, the other player moves any or all of their models. Okay, straightforward. What? Models can freely move into any adjacent, unoccupied zone as part of their move. Moves cannot be made into zones that contain enemy models or obstructions, or into zones in which movement is prohibited. Models can never move off the board unless the scenario rules state otherwise. Alright. So, due to the presence of an enemy model in the adjacent zone, the Custodian Guard model 1 is pinned. Okay. So is the round portion the zone, or is it just divided into equal blocks? General principles. The board is divided into a number of zones across which models move and fight. The borders of each zone are shown by thick black lines. Some zones on the board tiles represent perilous drops, whilst others depict deadly lava. Models cannot move through or onto these zones, but can shoot across them. Let me see if I can find that board piece real quick, because I'm a little unclear as to what's counted as a zone. Okay, nope, not that one. Alright. So there, okay, okay, I think I see what they're referring to. So we've got thick black line, thick black line, thick black line, thick black line. So, alright, so this is a zone, this is a zone, the round section is a zone, so, okay. Alright, so models can never move off the board. Alright, the Loyalist players, Legion veterans nearby, 2, are not adjacent to any enemy models, so are free to move to an adjacent zone twice during the movement phase, and can even move through the same zone in which the Custodian Guard is pinned. Right, the carved pieces. I guess if they move into a zone with another unit that is pinned, that has no effect on the models moving into that zone. Okay, models can move into an occupied zone if it contains friendly models, but only if doing so does not take it over its maximum capacity. Okay, see below. Each model can be moved into an adjacent zone in this manner twice in every movement phase, effectively moving up to 2 zones away from their starting point. Zone capacity. A zone can hold a maximum of 4 models at any given time. Custodian Guard and Totaro's Terminator models each count as 2 models for the purposes of zone capacity. such as their size. Okay. Pinned models. Models that are in an adjacent zone to an enemy model at the start of the movement phase are pinned and cannot be moved unless their controlling player claimed the initiative that round. Where this is the case, pinned models can be moved into one adjacent zone. Models can move into and through zones that are adjacent to enemy models as normal, as long as they did not start the movement phase adjacent to the enemy. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, no, my guess was correct. Basically, as long as they do not start the turn pinned, like in the example, these space Vilka Fenrica, at the beginning of the turn, these Vilka Fenrica are not pinned. So they can move into this zone and then on to this next zone. Alright, then form combat squads. At the end of the movement phase, the models in each zone form combat squads. Combat squads will fight as one for the rest of the round, combining their firepower or engaging the foe in melee together. Okay. So basically, I could move these two Space Wolves into this zone with the Custodes, and I just noticed how horribly out of view or out of focus that camera is. And I can't adjust the camera. Yay. Alright, so in the example I was talking about, the Custodian Guard is in this zone. He counts as 2 models, which means this zone can never have more than 4 models in it. So I can only move these 2 into here and then through. So I guess I'd have to move this guy, either leave him in that zone, move these 2 and then move him, or move him this way. In which case he can still move 2 zones over. Okay, obstructions. Obstructions represent large obstacles and barriers that often litter the battleground. Obstructions can take many forms, from shattered pillars and regal statues to wrecked vehicles and other battlefield detritus. I'm just having a fun way with words today. Models cannot enter zones that include obstructions under any circumstances. In addition, zones that include obstructions block line of sight. Yep, okay, straightforward, to the point. Attack phase. Okay, that's all fluff. In the attack phase, models on each side can fight one another directly, exchanging fire or trading blows at close quarters. This phase therefore incorporates attacks made at range and also in melee combat as described opposite. Making attacks starting with the player that has the initiative in that round. Players take it in turns to make attacks with any of their combat squads that are able to do so. First, one player attacks with a combat squad, then the other player, and so on until all attacks have been completed. Unless otherwise stated, each combat squad can only attack once in the attack phase, and a player can choose not to attack with a combat squad if they wish. If one player finishes making all their attacks before the opponent, then the opponent can make all of their remaining attacks one after the other. Okay. To make an attack, the controlling player must first pick one of their combat squads to be the attacking unit. They then select a single enemy squad to be the target unit. An attacking unit will either make a shooting attack, which uses their shooting attack's weapon profile, or a combat attack, which uses their combat attack weapon profile instead. Combat attacks are made against target units in the adjacent zones, and shooting attacks against target units that aren't adjacent. Provided that an attacking unit is not in an adjacent zone to any enemy units, it can make shooting attacks. The controlling player can pick a target unit anywhere on the board to fire upon, so long as it has line of sight. to the target unit. Sorry, brain decided to leave me there for a moment. Note, however, that some weapons have a limited range, so may not be able to add their weight of fire to a combat squad shooting attack if the target unit is too far away. If an attacking unit is in an adjacent zone to any enemy combat squads, it can only make combat attacks. The controlling player must therefore pick a target unit from a zone that is adjacent to the attacking unit. If a model has no weapons with a shooting profile, see the profile sheet, it can only ever be used to make combat attacks. Okay. So in this example, the Tartaros Terminator 1 has the choice of shooting at either the Loyalist Combat Squads 2, 3, even though the Legion Veterans and Gigor Fellhand are in adjacent zone to a friendly combat squad. Okay. The Traitor player's second combat squad can only make combat attacks in this attack phase as they are adjacent to an enemy combat squad. As they are only adjacent to a single enemy squad, they can only choose the Legion Veterans and Gigor Fellhand to be the target unit for the combat attacks. Okay, line of sight, block line of sight, that's pretty straightforward. Combat and shooting attacks, as well as attacks from certain psychic powers, are resolved in exactly the same way. The attack roll. This is what we were asking about earlier, Revy. To resolve an attack, the player controlling the attacking unit prepares a pool of attack dice. This will normally be 1d6 for each model in the attacking unit. For example, a combat squad of 3 models would typically have a pool of 3 dice. Remember that some weapons can only be used if the target unit is within a certain range. Some weapons or psychic powers enable the attacking player to upgrade one or more of these attack dice to D8s, D10s, or even D12s, representing increasingly powerful attacks. Compare the weapons each model is carrying with the appropriate profile on their profile sheet. For each model in the attacking unit that has a weapon characteristic of D8 or higher, the controlling player can upgrade 1d6 accordingly. The controlling player then rolls their dice in what is known as the attack roll. The armor roll. The player controlling the target unit then prepares their own pool of armor dice. These dice pools always include the same number of dice as the attack roll, regardless of the number of models in the target unit. This will normally be 1d6 for each dice in the attack roll. For example, if the attacking player's dice pool included 3 dice, the target player would have a dice pool of 3 dice, even if the target unit only comprised a single model. So, number of attacks, number of saves. Yeah, pretty straightforward on that. Superior types of armor offer increased protection and will enable the controlling player to upgrade one or more of the armor dice to D8 or D10s. For each model in the target unit that has an armor characteristic of D8 or higher, the controlling player can upgrade 1d6 accordingly. Yep, okay. So, rerolls. If either player has any abilities that allow them to reroll attacks or armor dice, they can choose to make their rerolls after seeing their opponent's attack or armor roll. If both players have such abilities, the traitor player makes any dice rolls they want to make before the loyalist player does so. Okay? So, here we see a well-equipped combat squad of Thousand Suns making a shooting attack. 2 of the models in the attacking unit are equipped with bolt guns, whilst another carries a heavy bolter, and a 4th member bears a plasma pistol. According to the appropriate weapon profiles for each model, the attacking player can upgrade 2 of the dice to the pool, leaving them with a powerful combination of 2d6, 1d8, and 1d10 for their ranged attack. The dice pool for the target unit, 2, that's these guys, is made up of 4 d6s, 1 for each attacking dice. However, the target unit includes a custodian, which allows the controlling player to upgrade 1 of the 4 d6s from their dice pool to a d8. Okay. Pretty straightforward. Alrighty, suffering damage. The genetic augmentations of the Legiones Astartes not only grant each of them exceptional physical strength, but also render them incredibly resilient to injury. Even these gods of war can fall in battle. Why do I keep reading the fluff parts? The outcome of an attack is resolved as follows. Compare the results on the dice that each player rolled. If the attack dice is higher than the armor die, the target unit is hit and suffers 1 point of damage. If the armor die is equal to or higher than the attack die, the attack causes no damage. Okay, so yeah, pretty much exactly what I guessed earlier. If each player rolled more than 1 die, compare the 2 next highest die. Repeat the process till all the attack roll and armor rolls have been paired off. The player in control of the target unit allocates damage 1 point at a time to a single model in the target unit. Ooh, excuse me. If the amount of damage suffered equals or exceeds the model's stamina on its profile sheet, it is slain. The target unit's player then selects another model in that zone and allocates any remaining points of damage to it. This process continues until there are no more damage points left to allocate, or all of the models in the unit have been slain. Okay? Any damage points that are allocated to a model but are insufficient to slay it are represented by an equal number of wound counters, which are placed next to it. Okay? Any further damage inflicted by another attacking unit must be allocated to a wounded model first if there is one. Alright, so it looks like a lot of the models have multiple wounds. So in this example, continuing the example shown earlier, the traitor player's attacks roll a 7, 5, 4, and 3, whilst the loyalist player armor rolls is 8, 3, 3, and 1. The traitor player's highest roll is beaten by the loyalist player's highest roll, so it causes no harm. But the traitor player's 3 remaining rolls all beat the next highest loyalist rolls in sequence. 5 beats 3, 4 beats 3, and 3 beats 1, for a total of 3 damage points. The loyalist chooses a veteran to be damaged. Its stamina characteristic is 2, so it is slain, leaving 1 point of damage. The loyalist player chooses the other veteran to take this last wound of damage and places a wound counter next to it. Okay, so stamina is effectively their wounds. Got it. Critical damage, whether through the skill of its wielder or cruel fate, a weapon will sometimes inflict catastrophic ruin upon the target. A point-blank burst from a melta gun can reduce even Terminator armor to little more than molten slag, and a combat knife can cause terminal injury if it penetrates a vulnerable neck seal or helmet lens. You know, I want to say that is word for word out of the 2nd edition rulebook. Anyway, attack roll results of 6 or higher cause critical damage unless they are matched or beaten by the armor roll die they are paired with. Critical damage inflicts 2 points of damage instead of 1. That's going to make a D12 damage roll really nasty. As warriors hew their way through their foes, they can maintain momentum and advance deeper into enemy lines. If an attacking unit wipes out a target unit as a result of a combat attack, the controlling player can choose to move the models from the attacking unit into the recently vacated zone. Okay. So basically they get to move after they kill off a unit in a zone. Got it. Consolidation. At the end of the round, players must make a few preparations before a new round can begin. Any used willpower and warp energy cards must be shuffled back into their respective decks. Any wound counters placed next to models are removed from the board. Okay, so that's an important point to remember. If you don't kill a model that turn, you don't kill it that turn. It just gets its wounds back, basically. Any other instructions as detailed on psychic power cards or in the scenario rules must be carried out. After the consolidation is phased, a new round can begin. However, it is worth noting that some scenarios have a sudden death victory condition or only last for a set number of rounds. Where this is the case, the game ends as soon as the victory conditions or round limit is met. Okay, so pretty straightforward rules. Basically, I roll the appropriate die, my opponent rolls the appropriate die, whoever rolls highest wins. Basically. Yep, so you got the reference sheet on the back, so that's good. Huh. So I literally just spent 2 hours talking about this. Not that I'm actually surprised. I was expecting that. Actually, a little bit less. So, but yeah, as I said, I am very seriously considering doing like an online game. Possibly with you, Revy. Maybe with someone else. I don't know. Well, I'll look into it. I'm not really sure how I would do it right off the top of my head right now. But I think I've got an idea of how I would do it. So, anyway. If I do actually get the online playthrough off the ground, I will announce it on my Twitter feed, my Facebook page, and the Twitch page. So that covers the burning of Prospero. Any questions? Anything I can go back over? Model you want to take a closer look at? And you gotta love the 20-second delay. But can't do anything about it, really. Okay, then. I'm going to move that off to the side. Sorry, I've had to move my camera around so much tonight. It's not in its normal position. So, alrighty, and then let me swap this camera. I kind of figured I wasn't going to spend the full 3 hours talking about Prospero burns. But the box is also large enough that I had some space considerations I had to deal with. So, for the next hour, I'm going to work on painting some stuff. As soon as I remember where I put my wet palette. Oh! I know where I put it. I'll be back in just a minute, guys. And I am back. So, got my wet palette. Let me load it up with water. Okay. And then a fresh piece of parchment paper. And let that get saturated. Alrighty, let me double check something on my painting guides. So, because tonight what I'm going to work on mainly as a time filler, cultists. Because what Chaos player doesn't have hordes and hordes of cultists? So, basically, I'm with the time for tonight. I think I'm just going to work on the skin. Get a skin-based color down. Thank you for the host, Revy. I glue this guy down because he's a little loose. Okay, that guy doesn't have any exposed skin. And there's that one. But that one does. So out of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19, 21 models. 2 of them do not have exposed skin of some sort for what I'm going to do tonight. Which is fine. That's not a big deal. Alrighty. Let me pull up the painting guide for that I wanted to use as reference. There we are. Why am I on that? Skin. There it is. Alright, so I need Bugman's Glow. Let me switch to my low angle. There we go. Rest in peace, video feed. What, did my feed go out? No mercy, did my video feed go out? Interesting. Okay. As it didn't go out on my monitor. Wonder if Twitch is like able to tell that my monitor and broadcast are on the same network. So, what brought you in tonight, No Mercy? Just the painting in general, or are you looking to learn more about the Burning of Prospero box set, I mean? Just telling what I'm doing has nothing to do with what you're doing. Well, fair enough. All the same, I hope what I am doing is at least providing entertainment for you. That being said, I am curious as to what you're doing now. I'm trying to set up a physical cockpit for an EVE Online simulator. Like, what is the draw for EVE? Like, I played a demo of it years ago, and it was like, meh, okay, it is. I really kind of figured the game would fall apart within 24 months. If you think of it as a video game and expect your controls with great visuals, then you're going to be let down. Once you think of it as a space simulator, then you're going to have a blast if that's your thing. Space simulator with social politics is a galaxy-wide sandbox. So does it actually support... Wow, I got something in my mouth from that. Does it actually support, like flight stick and rudder controls? Not currently, but the new patch coming out in 7 days has some first-person video in the preview. Also, it's going free to play, so that'll help numbers. Huh. Yeah, because I used to love the old Space Simulator games. TIE Fighter and Wing Commander were some of my favorite games of all times. But it was just when I did, a demo of EVE Online, I don't know, eternity ago, 5, 6 years ago and all that, it was just so much more focused on, economy building and negotiation and all that. That was kind of like, okay, I have no idea what's going on or why I have to do any of this. So at the moment I'm shopping for a USB keyboard or device input that's in the configuration of either switches and panels, like in a cockpit. Well, outside of using a Raspberry Pi to build a USB controller and then literally mounting the keys and switches in the positions you want on a custom-made board, the best thing I could point you at would be a Logitech 910 gaming keyboard. Not really sure that's what you're looking for, though. No, you can actually post links. Just they won't show up in the chat room, but I still get them. I do not want to subscribe to this. Go away. Thank you. Oh! Wow, nice. Landing gear lever. Wow, that takes me back to my old Wing Commander days. Yeah, that really takes me back there, no mercy. I can still remember back in the mid-90s, my dad was helping me build a console mount for all of it. The joystick, the weapon selector, all of it. I really miss doing that. I am psyched about the rumor for it. I will believe nothing until I see the model myself. And from what I have seen, it is going to be for 40K, not 30K. Because remember, in 30K, Magnus was still a normal Primarch. He wasn't a demon Primarch. Yes, I have seen the GW video where they supposedly confirm it. Except, please remember, I've played Chaos for the last 3 editions. You know, it's kind of hard to get kicked in the teeth repeatedly for almost 5 years while being told, hey, this is all new and efficient for you, without getting really, 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 really cynical. I can still remember when they released the Mutilators. Yeah, they should be. But I can still remember when they released the Mutilators, saying, these should be your new close combat gods. They should kill anything that's a problem for you. And then we find out this overpriced meat cutter is frankly pointless. I mean, don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. I am hopeful. I am psyched. I would love to see some Thousand Sun loveliness. I do have... I just built this squad. And, of course, I come back on Karn. So let me move him real quick. Yeah, this entire squad that I've been working on for the last week or so, it's meant to count as Thousand Suns. There's another unit. If you look at my Polaroid slideshow on the feed here, it says Mechanized Space Wolves. Or Mechanized Surfer Thrall Space Wolves. I can't remember what the heck I listed as. Those guys count as Thousand Suns. There we are. Cyber Enslaved Space Wolves. That's a unit I built to count as Thousand Suns. I have three units of Thousand Suns. I have plans for a Thousand Suns Soul Grinder / Defiler. If I can ever actually find reason to make it. If Thousand Suns get their own codex or own, demonkin, basically, you will literally see me on the battlefield day one. I will drop, 1,500 points of Thousand Suns day one. But even with all that excitement, there is a part of me that's kind of saying, dude, it's not going to happen. This is all just a joke to get people excited for, a bait and switch or, a new Horus Heresy expansion or a, self-contained board game or something like that. Yeah, my local meta is almost exclusively tournament players. So, pretty much, I go in expecting to lose. Some of the individual guys that play are, nice enough, but it doesn't change the fact that there's this overwhelming tournament mentality. People who play in this area are there to play, strategically, tactically. I asked around to see if there was interest in doing a map-based campaign, and the discussion pretty much fell apart at the point of, well, why would I want to be the defender? So you don't lose your territories? But everyone was like, No. I need to have a reason to be the defender. You know, maintaining the status quo doesn't count. And I'm like, well, okay, whatever. Yeah, the last time someone brought a friendly list, I effectively lost in turn 2, and I didn't realize it until the end of turn 4. Because again, that's the meta around this area. Friendly game is, oh, I won't bring 3 Night Titans in addition to my Grey Knights. Oh, okay, that's nice. You still Raffle Stomp me by turn 2 because your Grey Knights throw off so many psychic powers that I can't compete with. Or you've got so much deep striking, you're wiping me out at turn 2. Again, it's the tournament mentality and the tournament circuits around here, and I get that it's this kind of created this sort of passive style this passive competitiveness. Boy, it's so great that I'm a salesman and have to communicate with people on a regular basis. But, I mean, honestly, I don't get any enjoyment out of that kind of setup. I'm not going to say everyone in the local meta is, there to win. But they definitely get the enjoyment out of a well-fought game and a plan coming together. Well, let me give you an example. A friend of mine was getting into 40K. And I was helping him learn 40K. So I took my Tyranids and my... What did I take? My Chaos Marines, I want to say. And made 2 500-point lists with, the unit profiles and the special rules and everything for that 500-point list. The Tyranid army consisted of, I think it was like 24, well, 18, no, it was 12 Termagants, 10 Hormagaunts, I think. I might be slightly off on that. 3 Warriors and a Tyranid Prime. A good basic army. You have to deal with movement, shooting, assault, cover, leadership checks, the basics. It's a real good way to start, a new player out. Well, I was setting up the table when, one of the other regulars comes in, asks, what's going on. I'm like, oh, I got a friend coming in, I'm helping him learn, 40K. And, he comes over, looks at the army list, and goes, dude, you're shit-canning him. I'm like, what do you mean? I was like, at 500 points, you should be running a Turvagon. And I'm like, why should I be running a Turvagon at 500 points? And his response was, that's what everyone runs at this level. If you really want him to get into 40K, you need to get him ready for that competitive atmosphere. Because that's what he's going to be dealing with around here. You're just literally handing him a crappy army and telling him play. I was like, dude, this is meant to be a first game. It's meant to help him learn the basic rules. Not dealing with, psychic powers, spawning additional units in the middle of the game, and, everything else that a Turvagon at 500 points would bring. I mean, don't misunderstand me. I'm not trying to speak, poorly about any of the guys in the local area. But there is a very decided difference in what they enjoy in the game and what I enjoy in the game. They are very much what I would describe as StarCraft players. They get a thrill out of, executing a good plan, assembling the force for that plan, and outmaneuvering the opponent. The operation of it. And I can respect that point, don't get me wrong. Whereas I get much more enjoyment out of the story, the character. Building and painting the models. That sounds a bit meh. Well, hopefully they have hot wives at least. I am not going to get into that one. Unfortunately, I live next door to a military base, so half the people I would be playing with are probably Marine certified snipers. So yeah, make a pass at their wives, find a gunshot in my tire. Guess isn't too bad now with the Cabal formations. Forgot about that one. Yeah, I keep hearing about that one, and I keep looking at it and going, yeah, whatever. Because the underlying problem is still the Chaos Codex itself, or Chaos Space Marine Codex. You know, the marks are a joke and beyond worthless. Well, you know, Zinch's anyway. I wouldn't feel quite so bad about the Chaos Space Marine Codex if they just called it Chaos Renegades. Drop the, the blatant lie that is the title Chaos Space Marines from that book. What now? You mean the Forge World Army list? Yeah. So now answer me a question. Do you have any interest whatsoever in why the unending host conducts that particular battle? Or do you have any concept of why the commander of that particular army operates his army that way? Hell, can you even tell me the name of the Lord? So I'm guessing that's a negative on being able to give me a name for your Lord? Yeah, cute. But you see the disconnect here? What is the disconnect when opportunity to build bridges? While that is a valid and insightful statement, you still have to be able to tell what the disconnect is to try and build the bridge. It's not going to do you a lot of good to do a timber supported bridge if the region is known for firestorms, after all. I'm not going to say power gamer versus lore master, because from either side of the equation, the other seems insulting. I would prefer to describe it as a tactics player versus a character maker, or converter, depending on how you want to split the hair. Actually, I think I have a good physical example. Hang on just a minute. I gotta move the cameras around a little bit. There we go. Switch to low angle. Okay, so let's say you and I are playing a game, and I put that on the table. What's your first response? Outside of, dear God, that's terrible lighting. Oh, that's a little bit better anyway. Okay, fair question. Just looking at the model, what would your first assumption that I am playing it as be? Okay. Now, what if I told you it is the mechanical imprisonment of a bloodthirster as undertaken by a warpsmith who specializes in the binding of demons to machine? Okay, does that change your assumption on what I'm running it as, though? Also, as a side note, I have to laugh at the assumption that I play in tournaments. Okay. Then does knowing what the background for the model change your view of the unit, or how I would use it on the battlefield? Or how you would expect me to use it, I should say. Right? See, there's the critical difference. You know, for you, as long as the model meets the rules and requirements of the unit, you know, it might be something pretty to look at, but you're not personally interested or have any interest in what the background material is for the unit. You know, you're more interested in how it performs in an army, in an engagement. Well, I do play Chaos, so it's not like that's not an impossibility. I'd expect you to use him to his potential in a war game after all, right? Wars are meant to be won, not lost for the sake of lore. Very, very true. But at the same time, if someone is more interested in the lore, let's be honest, if the core army list kind of sucks, they're going to be hampered. And any effort to play the lore, or what they like about the lore, is going to make them less likely to be able to win. Thousand Suns, for instance. With how I view the Thousand Suns from a lore standpoint, there is simply no way for me to play a Thousand Suns army. Period. Again, because of the power disparity between me and the rest of the meta in the area. Most of the guys in this area tend to get between, well, if the Facebook group is any indication, between 6 and 10 games a month in. I'm lucky if I can get one. Yeah, see, unfortunately, I have tried the historical reenactment approach. Everyone's immediate response is, what page is that in Dawn of War? Reminds me of that I'm assuming that's supposed to be South Park, not South Part, episode where they reenacted the Civil War. How many people are going to show up to play a game they know they're going to lose? If you're going to reenact a fight, then got to make it fair for each team. Kind of like Kill Team's been enjoying that lately. Yeah, I can certainly agree with the concept. But I'd like to give you an example. The campaign I had asked about, if there was any interest in, it fell apart when, well, what if I don't want to be a defender when one of my territories is attacked? Came up. Yeah, that was pretty much my point. But like the explanation, such as it was given to me, was, well, if I'm not going to get anything, why do I want to show up to the fight? And I'm like, so you want a prize for not getting killed? I mean, so it's like you want a prize when you win and a prize when you don't die. So what's stopping you from just camping out on your territories and going, ha 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 ha, fuck all of you, come get me, till the end of the campaign? It's like I get what they were asking for, a reward for, undertaking a defensive mission as opposed to an offensive mission. I get that. But it's a defensive mission. You're not the one calling the shots. The guy who attacked the territory is attacking, and you are defending. You're fighting to prevent them from taking what you have. Your reward is you get to keep what you have. In addition to, wouldn't it be that they wouldn't expand aggressively, aka not win? That's what you would think, but I can tell you exactly what would happen in that scenario, and that is the game would just stalemate. Or the campaign would just stalemate. The whole adage of, it's not a defeat if I run out the clock. If the ability to win simply by holding on the territories that you have exists, yeah, I do. Because then the question would become, well, why do I want to attack? Yeah. So if everyone else has 6 territories and you have 7, well, you would win. And I can already tell you, I have no doubt that it would just devolve into a denial style campaign. It wouldn't be about taking the territory, it'd be about preventing other people from getting territory. Yeah, I figured that's what I would have done when I originally set it up, so all the territories were already controlled when the campaign started. But then that led to the question of, well, why would I want to be the defender? Where did my... There it is. No, alter the rules so it makes them attack. No bonuses for sitting still. In fact, you get penalized for holding something longer and longer. Really flip it up. Well, something to consider, I suppose. I mean, my thing was I wanted to try and offer rewards for actively trying to take uh, territory. But again, the whole, why would I want to be a defender? Defender takes over the attacker tile if the defender wins. So the attacker would lose both the fight itself and one tile, or one area, I guess would be the proper term in this case. Yeah, whatever area he was attacking from, he had to be on a tile that was touching a tile the defender controls. Eh. Something to think about. I mean, personally, I would have offered some sort of modification based on, if he, what's the word? garrisoned units in that tile that he was attacking from. He receives a modifier on whether or not he actually loses that tile. So, subject jump. No mercy. Did you have any interest in the Burning of Prospero box set? How so? I mean, certainly if you're doing if you're going against an army that has a lot of psychic powers, yeah, they're gonna kind of kill you. I must have missed how it would take out most Death Stars. Let me pull up. Well, two things first. Well, first and foremost, let me get these guys on the spinner. Alrighty. It's a Calexis Assassin in a unit for 75 points. Stop Invis, stop Sanctuary, stop Prescience, aka makes Death Stars mortal again, no more 2++. Huh. I wasn't aware too many Death Stars relied on psychic powers these days. Hmm. I mean, you may absolutely be right. I've had a exceedingly dim view of tournaments since my last experience with one, so I tend to avoid them. Hmm. Damn, I don't have that codex on my iPad. Oh wow, it's 11:30. I totally missed that note. Yeah, that's very unlikely to happen with me. Anyway, I need to shut this down. What was that? Anyway, I need to go ahead and shut this down. I do still have work in the morning, and I've already been on half an hour later than I intended to be tonight. The time just kind of got away from me. I blame you, No Mercy. Nah, I'm just teasing. But yeah, thanks for joining me tonight. My next stream, I believe, is Tuesday. Yep, Tuesday, 4 to 10. Very, very likely what I will be doing then is working on the models from Burning of Prospero. So if you guys are interested in checking out the models or just joining me for some general chit chat, Tuesday, 4 to 10 Eastern Time. Catch y'all when I catch y'all.